So it is Saturday night and I am with no one. Got no +1 tonight. Very lonely. But I'm off to the Troxy in London to go and see Dapper Laughs. You guys might know him as Dapper Laughs, Daniel O'Reilly. I met Dan a couple of months ago because he came to be interviewed on my podcast. So if any of you guys know him, he's a very naughty, very racy comedian. And if you don't know him, he's still a very naughty, very racy comedian. And he is also a bit of a social media whiz, marketing whiz, etc. So I had him on my podcast because if any of you guys do watch it or don't watch it, what I like to try and do on there is get interesting people on. They might be business people, they might be celebrities, sports people, comedians, obviously like Dan, anybody really who's got an interesting story to tell, and I guess along with that story got some kind of skill set or top tips that can be transported from from whatever their field of expertise is over into business. And some of my interviews, when we cut them back, are only 15 to 20 minutes long. Some are an hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes long. But I always, I guess everything I do on my social channels or within my businesses is based very much on my own personal experiences and what works for me and what doesn't work for me. And I always like to say that if you could just take one sentence or one top tip away from even a whole day's conference, or an hour's interview, a day's conference, whatever it may be, if there's just one thing you can take away from that, which you can implement in your business or in your life, etc., then it's worth listening to. It's worth attending. And that's what I hope to do with my podcast series as well, whereby we get these guys on there, and I think last week's interview was with Richard Krajicek, Wimbledon winner, and we talk about sports psychology, we talk about his charity, and what tips he might be able to give to move that people can apply to their businesses. We've had people like Levi Roots on there. Levi, obviously, he's probably one of the best known people I've had on there. But if you don't know Levi, he was a Dragon's Den candidate and successful winner many years ago. We've had unknown people, well-known people, etc. But anyway, that's how I came to meet Dan. And tonight I'm off to see his show. Again, for people who don't know his background, Dan told a joke probably 3-4 years ago now, which got him in a lot of trouble, got him kicked off the telly, and put him in a very bad place. He lost a lot of his fan base, lost his business, etc., and obviously lost his TV show. But what he's done over the last few years is, I guess, rebuild himself using his social channels, and I forget his exact numbers now, but he's got 600,000-700,000 on his main Insta page. He's got multiple other Instagram channels, and what he decided to do was to create his own show, because obviously at the time no promoters wanted to back him, not really many theatres wanted to support him, so he went and booked it himself, and through the power of social media, I forget, I think it was like 8 hours or something. In 8 hours he pretty much sold out a 2,000 capacity venue, and that's where we're going tonight. So I'm going to go and check him out, see him live, and show some support. Hey, Stephen Dinsmore, say hello to you. But while I was on the way, I thought I would use it as an excuse to talk to you guys about some of the tips of social media that he gave me when we were doing the interview, and also some of the things that I've learned myself, and that I try and implement. And this is probably the longest I've ever been live, and I think for me it ties in with one of the hardest things I ever found to do was to actually get going on this. And I think some of the guys I worked with, some of my marketing people and PR people, 12 months, 18, 24 months ago, were always saying, they were always pushing me to post on social, pushing me to make videos like this, etc. I've got a very big hand there, pushing me to make videos like this, and I'd always find an excuse because I guess, you know, for those of you that know me, you know, I'm quite a confident or outgoing person, etc. But I think when it comes to, you know, when it comes to social, when it comes to making the videos, you know, we're all nervous. You know, well, not all of us, but I certainly was nervous. You know, you worry about what everyone's going to say about you, what everyone's going to think, and for me, it kept putting me off. But I think I probably finally bit the bullet around September, October of last year, and you know, I made my first video and put it up there, and made the second and put it up there, and I guess, you know, didn't get the oodles of negative comments and people laughing and stuff that I was probably expecting. And I guess that, you know, day by day it gives you the confidence to kind of, you know, do a bit more and do a bit more. And I get anyone I'm talking to that asks for, you know, for advice about, you know, how to get going on social, you know, the main thing I just say is just do it. You know, it's so easy to procrastinate. I mean, you take this video now. When I was having a run this afternoon, I thought, you know what, I've got half an hour to kill in the car, and I'll do this while I'm in the taxi. And I thought that obviously some of the things I might talk about on here, but then, you know, in the kind of 10 or 15 minutes having had a shower and been about to come out here and get in the taxi, I think of every excuse possible, you know, to try and put it off and procrastinate. And I think, you know, especially, you know, when you do these live ones, it's even easier to find nerves, because, you know, you see your people watching at the bottom, and it's easier to feel more embarrassed about it, I guess. Although a guy I was watching myself on social quite recently was talking about like advice for beginners, and one of the first things he was talking about was to get on there and start pressing the live button and making your videos live. And his logic for doing that was again that it stops procrastination. And, you know, it's so easy for us all to try and be perfectionists when we're doing this. You know, well, you know, oh, my hair's not right, or I don't look good on that, or I've got a double chin, whatever it may be. And, you know, you record a video, you're not happy, you delete it, and you keep going and going and going. And I remember even recently, I think probably 3 or 4 weeks ago, I was in Spain and I was making a few videos, and I must have wasted 2 hours of my day just doing retake and literally at the end of those 50 or 60 takes, there was still nothing I was happy to use. But the reality is, if I'd have used any of them, they were probably good enough. So that this guy was saying, you know, if you've got nerves, and if you're really struggling to get going, just go and do it live, because obviously it then cuts out the ability to, you know, to find any excuses. So that was that. What other tips and things have I got to say? I think first thing is to find your platform. Obviously this is on Facebook, and, you know, social wise, you know, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, blog writing, and any of those kind of things all fall under the same I guess under the same social media category. And I think, you know, depending on the kind of content that you're going to put out is going to depend, you know, which mediums work better for you, so which platforms work better for you. But I think, you know, what you've got to pick something and get going. So again, if you don't like making videos like this, then you know, maybe you're going to be better off writing blog posts. You know, if you hate writing, maybe you're better off speaking. But if you don't like your face being seen, you know, then maybe you could look at starting a podcast. But you know, you've got, ideally you want to be doing all of these, because you know, obviously you know, your audience is going to be out there on different platforms. You know, in the same way that you like doing things on different platforms yourself, people like consuming their content on different platforms. So you know, the people who aren't on Instagram aren't going to see you on Instagram. The people who aren't on Facebook or aren't on Twitter aren't going to see you on there. But you've got to pick your platform, and ideally you want to be on all of these. And again, you know, a lot of my content, you know, you'll see repurposed. You know, if I might talk like this live, you know, I might write a blog about some of these similar points. You know, I might do what I write as a blog. I'll then repurpose it for a LinkedIn article. you know, while I write in a LinkedIn article, you know, I might be able to cut 4 or 5 or 6 key sentences out of there and put them up as Twitter posts. You know, I might be able to take one super sentence, you know, like the key sentence from the whole thing, and attach it to a picture of me and put it on Instagram. And I think, you know, that, obviously that's another thing that's, you know, really important. That, you know, a lot of people always say to me, oh, you know, how have you got time? Oh, sorry, I've got variable audio quality. Thanks, Paul. Thanks for telling me that. Yeah, you know what it is? I have these headphones, and I think the microphone sometimes moves around. But if you just shout me if you can't hear me properly. I'm just reading the end of your message. Thank you very much. Anyway. What was I saying? I forgot my train of thought. Yeah. So one of the things people always say to me is, you know, how do you have time to write so much content, or you know, that you know, must consume a vast part of your day. And a couple of comments to that. You know, one is, you know, the vast majority of every bit of content I do has got my hand in it. You know, some of them I'll write completely. So if I write a blog or an email post or something, you know, some of those I will write them 100%. Other ones, you know, I've got a couple of team members who are my very trusted content writers, if you like, but never ever do I just say to them, oh, go off and write me some content, and I don't know what they're going to be writing, and I just post it willy-nilly. Everything that I put out there has very much got my hand in, you know, to be one of my messages, and to be written in my tone of voice. But you know, I think it's very easy not to realise how much content can be repurposed. So like I said, you know, I mean, obviously this is live. There's not going to be too much to be repurposed from this. But you know, when I do a YouTube video, for example, you know, that might be a 1 hour's YouTube video where I interview somebody, and from that one, and that will be like the kind of pivotal piece of content. So that'll go up on my YouTube channel, and from that we'll probably also cut out 5 or 6 1-minute clips. And those 1-minute clips I'll then go up on Instagram. They should be quite insightful little clips in themselves, but then we can also use those to push people onto onto the YouTube channel. You know, again, from that, I'll write a blog post which will go up on my blog and attach the YouTube video within that blog post, embed it within there. You know, so all different ways to repurpose the content, but also all different ways to push people to my different channels. And that's another really important thing, that you know, whatever you're doing, use it as a chance to push people onto your different platforms. So if you're writing, you know, a LinkedIn article, make sure you've got your Twitter, your Instagram, your Facebook handles at the end of it. You know, if you're doing a YouTube video, when you're signing, you know, when you're saying bye to people at the end, you know, make sure you tell them to follow you on your different channels. I think, and that's another big point as well, that, you know, it's so important to be getting engagement in these videos, and also not to be put off by the lack of numbers of follows or numbers of comments. You know, I guess the simple answer is, you know, we all build our social, you know, one follower at a time, and you know, don't be put off by saying, oh, I've only got 50 followers. There's no point me doing a video yet, or there's no point me putting a post up there because nobody sees it. You know, if you're going to keep having that mentality, then you're always going to have your 50 followers. You know, you're going to go from 50 to 51 to 55 to 60, and you know, and one day you're going to wake up and there'll be 5,000 or 50,000, and that's when you look back and it's all been worthwhile. I think it's important as well from a timing perspective, you know, to realise how long a game the social side of things is. I mean, you know, I was very guilty myself of when I started this. You know, I think, you know, people see influencers out there or other people being really successful on social, and they think, oh, you know, I've got to get onto social because I'm going to do a couple of posts, or I'm going to make a video, and it's going to get me a load of business overnight. And you know, when I say those words now, it's and you know, some of you guys might be watching this and thinking, you know, what a fucking stupid comment, you know, how naive, but I think, you know, that's certainly how I thought about social when I started. I know a lot of other people do, but you've really got to look at it like like any other business plan, like any other marketing channel, and it is, it's very, very much a long game. I mean, look, I'm 12 months. What am I? Yeah, maybe I'm 9 months properly into this for me now, where I've been putting out regular content and really putting effort in. Well, I say regular content, probably nowhere near as much as I should do, but probably 100 times more content than than many other people will be doing. And I think for the first 6 months it was absolutely depressing. You put a video up or you put a post out and nobody watches it. I mean, like, literally nobody watches it. Then a couple of weeks later you get one watch or one like or a couple of follows or whatever it may be, and it's so easy. It's so easy back at that point to find the excuses to stop doing it, or to what's the point? There's only one person watching this. But I guess it's like any effort and snowball effect that you put into things. After the second or third month, those 1 or 2 follows was 10 or 15 follows, and for me, my most successful platform is Facebook. Where we're on now, and I think 9 months in now, I think I've got about 2,500 followers on my Facebook business page, who are now actually starting to engage nicely with posts. Some people have actually started to buy product from me or talk to me about business loans, etc. But that really was only over the last couple of months, but it was so, I guess, reassuring at that point that it's like, I've almost made it, my numbers aren't big, like I say, 2,500 people, but actually now 2,500 people who are engaged and interested in what I want to do, sort of interested in what I'm doing. I'm buying some product, hopefully another 9 months, another 18 months, those numbers will be 2.5, 5, 10, 15, etc. But it all starts with that first follower. And it is so easy to give up along the journey, and it's so easy to find excuses. Why not to put the content out? I'm just looking at my Uber driver's map in the background to see when I'm going to get to where I'm going. But a couple of other things to say before I go. I think authenticity. That's a word that's placid. Oh, he's giving me the 8-minute count. I've got 8 minutes. Authenticity is something that is, I guess, it's a word that's almost overused and completely bandied around on social media, and when people are giving social advice at the moment. I think it is very important that that your message is authentic to what it is that you actually do, and that it's in a tone of voice that is appropriate to you. And again, with my content or with my blog posts, etc., I'm the first to admit it's not everybody's cup of tea. And I mean, I like to think the underlying message is strong and true and correct. But I know my delivery isn't for everybody. Don't like my tone of voice, don't like my jokes, don't like whatever it may be. But what you see, what you read in my blogs, or what you see on my social, etc., very much is what you meet, what you get if you know me in person. I think it's so important to write it in an authentic manner, and to be and to try and be as non-vanilla as possible. And I know that it may be hard to not be vanilla in certain industries. It may be hard to not be vanilla, if that is your personality. But you've got to find every possible way to get your message heard in a manner that you're comfortable with and that's authentic to you. It's so noisy out there at the moment. Well, not at the moment. So noisy in the world, if you're just putting the same boring press releases, the same boring blog posts, etc., that everybody else is doing, then no one's going to read it. It's not going to cut through all the noise that's out there. And what's Paul saying? Authenticity, transparency, openness, honesty, and tonality. Yeah, that's so true, Paul. So true. And I'm trying to think what else I can talk about before I go. But yeah. we've talked about cross posting as well. I talked about cross posting earlier, and a lot of people say, oh, how do I get likes? How do I get engagement? How do I get comments? And the simple, and it's so important to to get that engagement with your posts, because obviously not just for your sanity and your ego, but that the more engaged your posts are, that the more the algorithms of all the relevant platforms push them up, and therefore the more they're going to get seen. And as daft as it sounds, the way you get the likes, the way you get the comments and the shares, etc., is you ask for them. I don't mean you ask for them in terms of sheer desperation. Oh, please like my post. But you can ask questions, or ask for feedback, ask for responses. Put questions or put comments there that is going to make people want to engage with you. So to take this video here. Let's say I'll put a little write up with this when I post it at the end, and I'll say, oh, here's my 4 or 5 top tips for social media. Watch it. Do you agree with them? And please comment below if you think I've missed something. Please comment below if you disagree with what I'm saying. And that's very important as well. If people are commenting, disagreeing or disliking, etc., none of it matters. Don't let it put you off, because any kind of interaction is going to help give your post momentum and push them up the ranks. So listen, guys, I am going to go. I'm going to say bye to Mel, bye to Paul, bye to Vanya, Dean, Shane, and anyone else who's been watching. Thank you very much. Oh, and I tell you what, that's one more thing as well, right? And I actually only learned this recently. I always used to think, what's the point in doing live videos? When you've got a low number of followers, and obviously the organic reach on Facebook and all social platforms gets worse and worse and worse. And you think, well, what's the point in putting that effort into doing it live when only 2 people are going to watch me, or when only 7 people are going to watch me? But now, I mean, look, there's, I don't know what, 10, 12 of you guys have been watching on this video, but that's just during this 20 minutes that I've been posting it. Now, once I finish this and it goes up there onto the Facebook page, it sits there, it gets into the algorithms, and I can start to push it, I can start to promote it, I can start to share it. So it's not just about the 10 or 15 people that watch it when you're doing it. Once this content's out there, it's out there forever, it's the number of people that are going to see this over the next week, month, year, etc. So that's it from me. I hope you guys found it useful. I'm going to go and see Dapper Laughs, Dan O'Reilly. Check him out. Even if he's not your kind of comedian, he's got some really good, really great marketing advice. He used to be an estate agent of all things. But go over to my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Matt Haycox, MattHaycox, and check it out, and check out some of the other interviews. And I will wish you all a happy Saturday night. See you later.